It's interesting because if I take the word certified, there's multiple meanings. One of them is being certified by the school, and you're also hopefully going to a school that is accredited by the ICF. But as a trained coach, you first go through a program and you get certified. And within that program, like if it's an accredited program like ours, then you're going to be completing the additional requirements for a second certification for the ICF. And that is certification on the outside, right? That's what it looks like in terms of the credibility. But what I feel is the real credibility and the real power of working with a certified coach is if they've gone through a professional program, they're not able to just coach the what, but the who of the person. And what you've been talking about is they're skillful at helping people to develop the ability to observe themselves, to self reflect, to evolve their perspective. They've also been trained to notice when they're in the way of the coaching and when they're out of their professional boundaries. They're also been trained to work on themselves. And I always think about it, doctor, heal thyself. Doctor background's coming through here a little bit. I didn't go all the way through all these jokes. But a lot of times, someone that adopts the title of coach, they're coaching someone through their own trauma or their own experience. And again, bringing all of their baggage, all of their emotions, all of their projections. And I remember one of my coaches who had told me they were certified, but then when I learned it wasn't quite a certification, and it's so confusing because there's so many schools and you can go on Udemy, a 5-hour, I'm certified. Really? That's not going to develop you. But in this relationship, I watched this coach quickly get triggered by a topic I was talking about. And then I'm like, wait a minute, you're not holding that neutral third party helping me figure it out. You're jumping
Mhm,
in on my train. And
mhm,
and it was very off-putting because it's like my
mhm.
friends already do that.
Yeah,
I don't,
right?
I'm not to talk to them because you're doing the same thing, but I'm paying you a lot
Mhm.
of money. But a lot of it, the certification is less about the piece of paper, but it's about really being
Mhm,
professionally trained to
mhm,
work with the whole person, to be able to recognize how to shift in your process so that whatever is getting stuck, coach or client or both, that we're always in this
mhm.
dynamic flow of helping that person to get to that end point that they want, that outcome. So
Absolutely.
we're skilled, not just perspective holders.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of these institutions, schools, or quote unquote universities, and the amount of time to become accredited. So you can see it's really about pumping out certifications. And
Right.
because there's a lot of people that feel like, once I get the certification, I'm a coach. And as a senior coach with CTW, I support junior coaches or people coming into your program and also see that there's a mentality and mindset of once I get the certification, then I'm good. And then as I'm coaching them and they've started in the beginning and then they're coming out, and as they're coming out, they're like, I'm certified. I met the criteria. I've learned all the content. The book is huge. I've gone through it. And I still don't feel there's still this internal feeling of not feeling ready because you really understand the value of a coach and the importance and the fact that you're holding someone else's life in your hands in terms of being a force of support for that other individual. Like you understand the ethics behind this role, and it's not a role to be taken lightly.
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is sometimes people will do a part of the journey to become a professional coach. And they might get a milestone certificate, and there's plenty of those out there, but they don't completely go through becoming professionally trained with a full program. They'll get like basic training. And even here at Coach Training World, and we do offer, hey, get started here. And it makes me sad when someone goes, this is all I need to get started. And maybe that's true, but then I think there's a perception that piece of paper is going to get you the job.
Yeah. Or allow you to feel confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a
'Cause
lot of
yeah.
that comes from an extended program, like a full program,
Y
going through and getting mentored at a professional level. It
Mhm.
also means staying connected and continuing to practice.
Yeah.
We have a lot of resources, like you're one of them. People can continue to get
Mhm.
support. And and I think this is pretty epic epidemic amongst a lot of schools, like, people are wanting to just get something to get started.
Yeah.
And part of it, it's our industry. The way the ICF stacks the credentials is
Mhm.
you can get an associate certified coach, which is a tier 1 coach certification,
Mhm.
um, but it's a real difference in terms of someone's coaching capacity, their confidence, their
Yeah.
skill than a professional coach.
Yeah.
And for you to even be a master coach, you have to be a professional for some time, and you have to
Mhm.
accumulate a whole lot more training and hours.
Mhm.
But our industry calls certification anything that
Mhm.
is in those 3 tiers. So a lot of people will aim at a
Mhm.
lower tier going, "That's it." But the
Yeah.
truth is, it's a stepping stone, it's not an endpoint.
No. And what I love about ICF, which is what attracted me to it, and for all of those who aren't familiar with the acronym, it's the International Coaching Federation, which is one of the very few self-regulatory bodies of coaching, the
Mhm.
coaching world. And what I loved about ICF is that it's a requirement, what, every 2 years, you have to have additional hours of certification in some technique or modality, what have you, like continuing education is a priority to maintain your certificate.
Absolutely. So every 3 years to keep your credential active,
Mhm.
and also in the ICF, one of the things that people love about it, it's considered the global gold standard. So a lot of coaching firms, a lot of companies will look at the ICF certification as a milestone to vet resumes, but what
Mhm.
they're doing is they're really helping to professionalize the profession.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
for any of those who have seen, I think it's like Better Up, or I forget some of the names, but there's some coaching firms, and to be considered to even work in some of these coaching firms, the more established ones, you have to have at the minimum a PCC, which is the professional coaching certification through ICF, International Coaching Federation, to even be considered to work for the firm.
Yeah.
So if somebody is wanting to hire a coach and doesn't want to have to go through their own internal vetting system, they know that if they go to one of those firms that they're going to get a PCC coach at minimum. And then also for those who don't want to go through a firm, just recognizing the PCC is the bare minimum for most other corporations, other industries, firms, and then ICF is a really great way of finding institutions that they approve. So you can go to their website to find these institutions in which you can then find coaches or be educated if you're looking to become one.
Absolutely.